Have you thought about buying your first boat or perhaps upgrading the one you have? And there are a lot of difficult choices to make. Maybe one of those choices is, what kind of engine do I want on my boat? Maybe it should be an outboard, or maybe it should be an inboard-outboard. How do you really know? Hi, I'm Sean from Lensco Marina. We have a common saying in our industry, and the saying is not, let's go motoring. The saying is, let's go boating. However, the choice of the motor on your boat is going to have a dramatic impact on the type of boating you do, the enjoyment, and some of the costs that are associated with boating. On today's video, we're going to really dive deep into inboard, outboard versus outboard power. Now, we do realize there are two other main power choices, and those are jet drive and true inboard or V-drive boats. Now, we're going to skip those for today's video and we'll cover them in another segment. So today we're going to go over the pros and cons of outboard versus inboard-outboard. We're going to go into the different types of activities you might do with each, and we're going to talk about what different types of boats you might find inboard, outboard on, and just pure outboard. So let's start. These are the differences between the two. An outboard engine is a complete engine, mid-housing, and lower unit bolted to the back of the boat. This gives you complete powertrain outside the boat with no engine inside. An inboard-outboard engine typically is a car or truck style engine, and it is mounted inside the boat, lower in the hull, and it is coupled through the transom or the back of the boat to an outdrive unit that then hangs down below the bottom of the boat. Let's now talk about outboard power and the pros and cons to each. Firstly, the outboard power is more compact and it takes up a lot less space on the boat. That gives you more room for your occupants of the boat and more storage space. Second pro is that it is usually a more lightweight package. The third pro would be that it is easier to work on in most cases. The outboard is better for do-it-yourselfers. The lower maintenance cost makes it easier for someone who wants to do their own work or is in a remote area and doesn't have access to a good marine dealership. The sixth one is the ability to extend the season because there is little to no freeze damage risk. The last pro for an outboard engine is that the prop and drive unit can be completely trimmed up out of the water, and that's great for shallow water access operation or if you're in saltwater environment. Next, we're going to talk about the cons. The first can be they are louder. The second con is that the older technology ones used in the past were less fuel efficient. The third con would be that the outboard engine being on the back of the boat makes the whole engine package visual. The fourth con would be that it takes up significant space on your swim platform. And the last con would be that there are very few of these boats available in the 1990 to 2015 range. Next, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of an inboard-outboard or sterndrive IO engine package. Number one, the inboard-outboard has a more car-like feel, and that's because the engine is more like a car. It is a truck or car-based platform, and you get that feeling that you're used to while driving your automobile. The second one is that it can be quieter and a little bit more fuel efficient. The third pro is that it's based off of a robust car and truck engine platform, and they can have longer lifespans. The fourth one being, because of that, it has more aftermarket parts availability. And the fifth is that perfect open swim platform at the back with no visual engine. Now on to the cons. It takes up more space in the boat. It's more expensive to winterize and maintain. Third con is that it's not as easy for a do-it-yourselfer. Fourthly, they're a little bit heavier, so your power to weight ratio is less than in an outboard package. And lastly, it's not possible to completely trim the drive unit up out of the water, which is not as ideal in shallow water or saltwater environments. The most common place you're going to see an outboard engine is on a pontoon boat, an aluminum fishing boat, a bass boat, day boats that are smaller, and on some high-performance offshore fishing boats and offshore speedboats and deck boats as well. They're also becoming increasingly popular in the bowrider market now that there's more of them available, and you'll also see them starting to come into some of the small cruisers as outboard power is a little bit more flexible, particularly in saltwater environments. Where you're going to see more of the inboard-outboard is on bow riders, mid-size to larger cruisers, and you're not likely going to see them on pontoon boats, bass boats, or other types of boats that I described like center consoles. The choice of which power you choose, outboard or inboard-outboard stern drive, really comes down to personal preference. One is going to feel right. When you go out for a lake test in a boat, which one feels like you? If you know that you're going to extend the season, probably stick with outboard. If you are only going to use it in the summer months, you can use either. But really focus on how you're going to use it, who's going to be on board the boat, and the choice should become natural. If you can't decide, the logical explanation is that the boat is more important, and the power choice will come obviously when you find the right boat. Thanks very much for joining us on today's Lens Cove Lessons in Boatings. We're going to leave some links in the description below to other blog posts and some videos to help you make this decision. And always remember, be safe out there, and I'll see you on the water.